Finance Ministry insists the economy has been able to withstand major effects of the global financial crisis through careful policy decisions over the past year.
President assures Guyanese of government's optimistic approach to 2009 despite challenges.
And December 2008 has seen a higher volume of rainfall as compared to that of 2005, but there has been significantly far less floods.
The details of these and other stories, the Diamond Mineral Water and NTN Sport News and more in tonight's news. Good evening, I am Ernestine Zagnarin.
And I'm Paul Moore.
With this edition of the 6 o'clock news for today, Friday, January 2, 2009. Here's what's happening, Paul.
Thanks, Ernestine. Finance Minister Dr. Ashley Singh says the economy has been able to withstand major effects of the global financial crisis through careful policy decisions over the past year. He believes that persons need to understand the challenging circumstances surrounding the economic downturn before conclusions are drawn. More in this report.
For numerous countries around the world, 2008 was a challenging year given the stark implications of the global financial crisis. Finance Minister Dr. Ashley Singh describes the first half of the year as a roller coaster ride, which saw rapidly fluctuating and unprecedented increases in commodity, food, and fuel prices. While many nations were crippled as a result of these changes, he notes that government managed to maintain economic stability and contain prices through interventions to assist those vulnerable. These include cushioning the prices of electricity and flour by granting subsidies, providing a cost of living adjustment, and revising fuel tax regimes and removing the value-added tax on various commodities.
Also have to keep an eye on a number of other developments to ensure that prices were contained, to ensure that there continues to be exchange rate stability, to ensure that notwithstanding these interventions there wasn't too much fiscal deterioration. Through all of these interventions, I would say we were able to really contain very effectively, certainly during the first half of this year and indeed during the second half of this year, a lot of those developments.
Unlike the first half of the year, the latter part of the year saw dwindling prices due mainly to a contraction in demand for supplies. According to Minister Singh, critical assessments and policy decisions by government enable the economy to avert the disastrous proportions of the global financial turmoil.
Our financial system is not overly integrated with the more developed global financial markets, and so we haven't suffered a lot of direct exposure. There are, of course, a number of indirect channels through which we could be affected. Availability of financing for our large FDI projects, availability of other financial inflows, both official inflows, that is like loans and grants from our development partners, but also other inflows such as remittances.
Despite the challenges, Minister Singh notes that government also managed to maintain external reserves, price stability, and contain the fiscal deficit. The Finance Minister projects a 3 to 3.2% GDP growth and a deficit of about 8.6% as predicted in the mid-year financial report. He has assured that government is being vigilant and will continue to monitor the situation and its likely impact on the local financial system. Reporting for the 6 o'clock news, I'm Shardala.
Government maintains that it has a structured response to the implications of the global financial crisis on the local economy, despite criticisms from the AFC and other political parties. During a recent press conference, President Bharat Jagdeo acknowledged future challenges for Guyana and outlined some of the measures being implemented this year. Details in this report.
The Alliance for Change has criticized government's position on the global financial crisis. The party believes that government has failed to understand the situation and act accordingly. However, in an earlier press briefing, President Bharat Jagdeo not only acknowledged the extent of the crisis, but also outlined numerous interventions that government is planning to implement in this year's budget.
We still have major challenges. In the new year, we are going to start seeing a greater or more of the impact of what's happening internationally, the whole world in recession on Guyana. So we are looking at now, as we are crafting our budget, we're seeing how we could accommodate that impact and to try to offset the impact.
While there are limitations to what government can do, the head of state noted that measures would be taken to avoid pressure on the exchange rates.
I don't say counter-cyclical spending because we can't do that, but to offset the impact so that whatever we do in offsetting the impact of the global financial crisis, and there are limitations to what we can do, that we don't create a situation which builds up inflationary pressure, which puts pressure on our exchange rate. We are very conscious of that.
Given the gravity of the global economic turmoil, he also noted that there may be implications on some proposed projects.
Many big projects, the same thing with the both side project, may encounter. They are slightly different, but the big projects may have to be delayed a while.
There is optimism that there was a relatively good performance of the economy, which recorded a projected GDP growth of just over 3%. He mentioned that rice and gold have seen favorable increases and opined the gold sector and bauxite will continue to grow this year.
President Bharat Jagdeo ushered in the new year, attending various New Year balls. At the same time, the President took the opportunity in an invited comment to assure all of government's optimistic approach for the new year. Mark Murray has more.
President Bharat Jagdeo attended the Guyana Defense Force Officers Ball at the Army's headquarters, Kampayangana, Thomasland, All Year's Night. There, the head of state was greeted by Chief of Staff Commodore Gary Best and other senior officers. The President also attended the Guyana Police Force Officers Ball at Eve Leary, where he was greeted by the Commissioner of Police Henry Green, Minister of Home Affairs Clement Roy, and other officials. During the various activities held to usher in 2009, the President shared All Year's Night dinner and mingled with patrons. The head of state, after making all these stops, ringed in the new year at the Pegasus Hotel. Meanwhile, President Jagdeo commented on government's focus for 2009, where he referred to the global economic situation that the local economy faces.
This year, we have to face it with optimism. The whole world has gone through some crisis. The developed world is facing the loss of millions.
The head of state acknowledges the situation and assured that government will have a different approach this year in not making citizens feel the strain with new initiatives.
I recognize it, and at the national level we have to respond by creating more incentives for private sector investments, although capital will be shared.
President Jagdeo also pointed out that more has to be done to develop young people at this time.
We have to respond to a budgetary mechanism to ensure that in this period that we spend a bit more on things that will keep people employed and will get our young people trained. So as we emerge from this global crisis, that they will be ready to take a position.
President Jagdeo believes Guyanese are fortunate since they live in a beautiful country and are different in many ways, and he thinks that if everyone acts collectively, then Guyana will move forward, overcoming this difficult period. Mark Moore reporting for the NTN 6 o'clock news.